interest that the right honourable gentleman has been urging his neighbour in number 10 to call an election because he's worried they might get wiped out.
Angela Rayner, one of the most prominent figures in the British Labour Party, has sparked a controversy that is shaking both her party and public opinion. Following a controversial holiday in Ibiza and leaked statements, some are questioning her commitment to the party's values. This case affects not only Rayner, but also challenges the image of the Labour Party at a critical moment. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Your support helps us a lot. Let's begin. The controversy escalated quickly when images emerged of Angela Rayner, Labour MP in the United Kingdom, enjoying a holiday in Ibiza. Although initially these holidays appeared to be a simple escape to unwind from her political responsibilities, her stay on the Spanish island caused a stir when some of her activities and comments became public. Rayner, known for her direct style and connection with working-class voters, was seen in behavior that some deemed inconsistent with her role as a high-profile politician. The detail that sparked criticism was an apparently casual remark from Rayner on topics considered sensitive for the Labour Party, particularly in a context where the party is working to improve its image with an increasingly critical electorate. While the exact content of her words is unknown, it's speculated that Rayner referenced internal policies and key party figures, showing what some sources interpreted as a lack of respect. This attitude raised concerns within the party, which has been striving to project an image of unity and professionalism. For many, Rayner's behavior did not seem to match the seriousness expected of someone in her position, especially at a time when the Labour Party needs to consolidate its reputation. The controversy has highlighted the disconnect that some perceive between certain political representatives and the voter base they aim to represent. The perception that Rayner was in a party-like, luxurious setting has been interpreted as a betrayal of the party's values, which traditionally focus on defending working-class rights and criticizing the elitism often seen in other political sectors. For a significant segment of the British public, the image of a Labour figure in a relaxed, seemingly detached setting from her voters' daily struggles feels like an affront. Some sources close to Rayner assert that her comments and behavior were not intended to cause harm, but simply to relax in a private setting. However, others suggest that her attitude reflects a disconnect from voters' real concerns. This has become particularly relevant due to the atmosphere of distrust in British politics, where many voters question the sincerity and motives of political leaders. The Labour Party finds itself in a difficult situation, dealing with a controversy that affects not only Rayner as an individual, but also the party's image as a whole. Although some within the party are calling for a strong response to protect its reputation, others argue that Rayner should not be punished for having a personal life and enjoying a brief break. However, the line between the public and private lives of politicians is thin, and as a public figure, Rayner faces the reality that her actions will be scrutinized closely. The situation has sparked a broader debate about the standards of behavior expected of politicians. Where does the right to privacy end and public responsibility begin? This case has shown that for high-profile public figures like Rayner, the line between private and professional life is becoming increasingly blurred, especially in an era where any activity can be recorded and shared on social media. The media reaction to this controversy has been intense and divisive. From the moment Rayner's images in Ibiza began circulating, various British media outlets, both right and left-leaning, did not miss the opportunity to voice their opinions. Coverage has been broad and varied, with more conservative newspapers openly criticizing Rayner's behavior, accusing her of not taking her responsibilities seriously as a Labour representative and suggesting that her attitude reflects a lack of discipline within the party. On the other hand, progressive media outlets have taken a different stance. They emphasize that Rayner has a right to a private life and, like anyone, is entitled to relax and enjoy some time off. Some media argue that the attention given to her holiday is disproportionate and is part of a distraction strategy used by her opponents to discredit her and, by extension, the Labour Party. Public opinion has also been divided over this controversy. On social media, some Labour supporters feel betrayed by Rayner's behavior, interpreting it as a sign that she is straying from the party's values. For these voters, Rayner's attitude does not align with the Labour Party's defense of working-class interests, a core aspect of its history. The disconnect between the projected image and the party's principles appears to them as an issue that could impact internal cohesion and public perception of the party. However, there are also those who view this incident incident as a smokescreen. These supporters argue that criticisms of Rayner are unfair and are part of an attempt to undermine her image as a leadership figure within the Labour Party. They believe the matter is being exaggerated to distract the public from more important issues, and that, like anyone, Rayner has the right to unwind and have a private life. This group also highlights the hypocrisy of those criticizing Rayner, arguing that other political figures, even from other parties, have behaved similarly without facing the same scrutiny. Labour Party leaders have generally remained silent on the scandal, likely hoping that the controversy will subside before making an official statement. However, this silence could be interpreted in various ways. On one hand, it could demonstrate support for Rayner by not openly criticizing her, but on the other, it could be seen as avoidance, which might frustrate voters expecting a clearer response. How the party responds to this situation will be crucial in defining how its leadership is perceived, as well as its ability to handle criticism and maintain unity in challenging times. Some analysts also note that this incident could impact how the young and progressive electorate views the Labour Party. This sector, which tends to be less tolerant of scandals and more demanding of transparency and ethics, might see this situation as a sign that the party isn't living up to their expectations. The scandal surrounding Angela Rayner has hit the Labour Party at a delicate moment. In recent years, the party has faced a series of internal crises and lost ground in the political landscape, with challenges ranging from ideological divisions to leadership issues and policy changes that haven't entirely convinced its electorate. The controversy surrounding Rayner seems to intensify these problems, highlighting the Labour Party's ongoing struggle to find a clear identity and reconnect with its base. In this context, Rayner represents a progressive faction within the party that seeks to advance policies of social justice, equality, and improvements for working-class people. However, the incidents in Ibiza could cast doubt on her commitment to these ideals. For some observers and party supporters, seeing Rayner in a situation that seems distant from voters' everyday concerns generates a sense of disconnect, which could be interpreted as contradictory to the party's values. Moreover, this scandal raises questions about the consistency of Labour leaders' conduct. One of the pillars of the Labour Party's rhetoric has been transparency and ethics in public service. They have frequently argued that politics should be free from the excesses often seen in other sectors. Rayner's image in a relaxed setting, seemingly detached from political responsibilities, could be perceived as a lack of sensitivity, especially at a time when the country is facing significant economic challenges and many Labour voters are experiencing financial hardship. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Your support helps us a lot. Let's continue. The Labour Party leadership now faces a dilemma that could shape its future direction. If it chooses to support Rayner, it risks alienating a segment of voters who see her behavior as inappropriate and contrary to the party's values. This group may perceive the lack of sanctions as a sign of permissiveness toward attitudes that do not align with the image of austerity and social commitment that the party promotes. However, if the party decides to distance itself from Rayner or even publicly reprimand her, it could trigger internal divisions at a time when unity is crucial for electoral success. Labour's leadership is in a position where any decision it makes will have significant repercussions. Supporting Rayner could be viewed as an endorsement of her progressive policies, but it might also give the impression that the party is lenient towards controversial behavior. Conversely, distancing itself from Rayner could ignite internal conflicts with potentially disastrous consequences for internal cohesion. This scandal has highlighted an inherent tension in modern politics: the difficulty of being a public figure in an environment where every action is scrutinized under a microscope and where voter expectations are higher than ever. Labour leaders will need to consider not only how to manage Rayner's image, but also the perception of the party as a whole. Poor handling of the situation could have a profound impact on voter trust and the party's internal stability. The way the party handles this situation will send a powerful message about its leadership and values. Decisions made in the coming weeks could affect not only Angela Rayner's image, but also public perception of the Labour Party as a whole. The party's ability to confront this crisis and provide a clear and unified response could make a significant difference in its positioning ahead of future electoral challenges. So far, Angela Rayner has opted for a strategy of complete silence, avoiding public comment on the controversy. This decision has been interpreted in various ways. For some, her silence is a sign of prudence, a tactic to avoid worsening the situation and to prevent a hasty response that could be counterproductive. For others, this lack of statements gives the impression that Rayner is not taking the matter with the seriousness it deserves, potentially increasing the perception of a disconnect between her and Labor's voter base. According to sources close to her, Rayner is likely to break her silence in the coming days with an official statement addressing both her Labor colleagues and the general public. This statement will be a key moment to assess her crisis management skills and her ability to regain control of the public narrative. Rayner's advisors, aware of the importance of this message, are working on a strategy aimed at mitigating the impact of the controversy and reconnecting with those voters who felt disappointed or puzzled by her behavior. One possible approach Rayner could take might include a public apology acknowledging any possible insensitivity on her part, combined with a sincere explanation of her original intent to take a short break to recharge and continue working on her political responsibilities. The apology could also appeal to the public's understanding and support, emphasizing that, like anyone, she needs moments to rest. In this way, she could reduce the damage to her image and remind voters that ultimately she is a human being also facing the pressures of her position. Nevertheless, some analysts believe that any apology may be insufficient to fully repair the damage caused. They argue that a significant portion of the electorate has already formed a negative perception of the controversy, and any attempt at an explanation could be seen as an excuse. In this sense, an apology might be interpreted as an admission of guilt, leaving Rayner in a vulnerable position both within her party and with the public. Additionally, another crucial factor in Rayner's future will be the level of support she receives from Labor's leadership. So far, party leaders have maintained a cautious stance and have not issued strong statements on the incident. However, their response to Rayner's words could play a decisive role in the direction of her political career. If the party opts to publicly support her, she could establish herself as a strong figure within the progressive faction, albeit with a somewhat weakened public image. This backing would allow Rayner to continue working on her policy initiatives and move on, albeit not without some repercussions. Conversely, if Labor decides to distance itself from Rayner, her political future could be in jeopardy. Rejection from party leadership might be perceived as a signal that Rayner is not considered a reliable representative for defending Labor voters' values. This in turn could trigger a chain effect that impacts her reputation and her chances of leading future projects or even running for more prominent roles in the party. For some sectors within Labor, supporting Rayner would also imply a show of unity and backing towards her faction, while rejection could exacerbate internal divisions. The outcome of this situation will test not only Rayner but also the Labor Party as a whole. Rayner's ability to confront this challenge with integrity and transparency will be closely observed by both her allies and detractors. And although the current situation seems bleak for Rayner, there are examples in British politics of figures who managed to overcome scandals and rebuild their careers after major controversies. The key lies in how she seizes this opportunity to connect with her electorate and demonstrate that her commitment to the party's values remains strong. Finally, this scandal also raises questions about the role of privacy in the lives of modern politicians. The boundary between public and private life is increasingly thin, and Rayner, like many political figures, faces growing pressure to demonstrate her commitment 24 hours a day. How she responds to this scandal could set a precedent regarding expectations for politicians and the right they have to lead a personal life without their professionalism being questioned. If you liked this video and want to see more content on important issues, subscribe to the channel and give it a like. Your support helps us continue creating content. Thanks for being with us, and don't forget to share this video. See you next time.